Hey there, Life Snack Womack. I was going through a bunch of material, books, content, and a lot of remembering of difficult times. And I just realized I had this like flood of realization. Like, I would love to share all of that. And what better place than this channel? Because this channel has been my my daily practice, my daily gratitude, and I did not land here willy-nilly. There has been a lot of behind the scenes um journaling, reading, implementing, practicing, failing, to say the least. So I just wanted to put out there a little bit of a map. Um, First thing that we're going to be talking about today's video specifically is going to be Thresholds of the Mind. This book is a book I read years ago, and lucky me, I took the time to highlight a lot of the points that I really resonated with. This book, Thresholds of the Mind by Bill Harris, was um, was written by Bill Harris, and he is the founder of Centerpoint, which produces Holosync. So if you're not familiar what binaural beats are, that's what Holosync is all about. They are all about their binaural beats. So a binaural beat is something where you need to wear headphones in order for it to work, and there's a certain number of hertz that goes into one ear and a different number of hertz going into the other. So say I've got 5 hertz here and 10 hertz here. The difference is 5. So my brain will entrain at 5 hertz. Okay, so another example, if I've got 5 hertz here and 15 hertz here, then my brain will entrain at 10 hertz because that's the difference. So what that does is it's supposed to synchronize the two hemispheres and create a holistic utilization of your brain. Your brain is supposed to be able to spend time in a state of connection with itself. And when that happens, so the theory, I'm probably going to butcher it, but this is to my understanding. So when your brain is in that state, it has to break down systems that do not harmonize, right? So if I am being hypocritical about us, if I have a system over here that contradicts the system that's going in here, like they both need to break down and rearrange into a way of operating that is at a higher level, which encompasses both without disagreement. That is the best of my understanding about what regular use of binaural beats will do. Now, Holosync did a lot of research on this concept. They have developed specific like soundtracks to use in binaural beats in a binaural beat format. And I did not have any intention of purchasing that program. I didn't even know it existed. I just wanted to read the book. The book is fantastic. And like I gleaned so much meat and potatoes out of this book. We'll go into that shortly here, but I ended up loving the content, and I was so intrigued that I went to Holosync's website and I listened to a demo of their specific binaural beat, and I loved the presentation of it. I think just the sound of it was so relaxing to my brain, and I wanted more. So I did like the basic, I think at the time, this was years ago, like $100. I bought their basic, like, you know, Holosync binaural beat program and got the instant download, and I used that regularly for quite a while, and I really enjoyed it. It's something that you might want to investigate if you're into that kind of stuff. And then years later, I ended up investing in a biofeedback headband. And this thing is so cool. I'm going to do a whole video on it on its own, but I just had to mention it because it dovetails perfectly. This is by Muse. This is a headband. And I, at the time, purchased the first generation of this. I have since lost it, and then I was bummed out, so I bought another one. This thing goes on like so, and these go down behind the ears. And this thing gives you biofeedback. You wear it with headphones, and it will tell you what state your brainwaves are in according to like what sound it's giving you in your headphones. But after reading this book, doing the binaural beats, and then purchasing this headband later, and then losing the first generation, purchasing this other one, I was using this newer one, and I noticed on the app that it had Holosync on it. So Muse actually comes with an app, and you can either like, you know, do a subscription or whatever, but they offer Holosync products and content through biofeedback. And so that was just really cool. A really neat little full circle type of thing that I realized later on and was really fascinated by. So those go hand in hand. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about the book, Thresholds of the Mind. This book helped me realize that my mind is like a map. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with Alfred Korzybski. He's the one who coined the term, the map is not the territory. So by that he means you can't drive on those little lines, you can't camp on the little triangles. The map is not the reality of what goes on. You cannot walk on that map. And the analogy is that we are living in our map when we are in our head. Realizing that I have a certain map that reflects, that's taken my experience and all of my conditions and beliefs and such, and this is a big fat cocktail of a mind map. And when I experience something in real life that I don't have mapped out, then there's a discord. So if I have an experience that I've never had before, or that contradicts something that is in my map, there's a breakdown. So I either go further into my delusion about what's going on, which is not accurate to what's objectively happening, the territory. So the territory is what's happening in real life. And then here we are living in our map. And this book helped me realize the fact that that's happening in the first place, because a lot of times we just assume that our map is the territory. And if it makes sense in our map, then it must be directly applicable to the territory. I don't know if, you've ever tried to draw something and, you have it in your head what you want the outcome to be for that picture that you're drawing, and then you go to draw it, and the reality of what is happening on that paper is vastly different than what you had in your head. So that's a great, like, calling your bluff process. You artists out there will know what I mean. Seeing things objectively as an artist is a trained skill. I don't know. Some people are born with it, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't. I had to practice. But being an artist is a really great exercise in objectivity. A lot of artists or a lot of people drawing something will draw what they think they see and not what they do see. So back to the book. This concept between the map and the territory was groundbreaking for me personally. Once I had a leg up on that discernment, I was able to recognize that when I was going through difficult times and it was ensuing chaos in my mind, it helped me realize that in order for a system, a map, to accommodate for something it did not take into account before, you have to tear down what you have already in order to rebuild at a higher complexity that incorporates the and. This is what I experienced in my past, and this is also new input that on this would contradict what I've experienced, but no, I need to reorganize what I've experienced into a higher complexity in order to encompass the realizations that I did not consider. That helped me so much. It helped me to not resist chaos when it was happening, to really, that was the beginning of me trusting the process, okay? Doing research and leaning into change without feeling threatened by it. That was a huge shift for me. This book did a really great job of getting that across in a way that I could practice it. And you know, when something walks you through the nuts and bolts of how something happens in a way where you can just like understand the structure of what's going on, that is what gave me faith in this content, this information in the book. And it gave me the ability to trust it enough to take that information, take that lesson, and plug it in to my daily life and its difficulties. And I could really start grinding away at my my challenges that I was going through at that time. At that time, I was in a 20-year abusive relationship that was very psychologically complex. And so it was just a very interesting dilemma that I had to kind of pave my way out of. And anyways, that was, yeah. So this book really gave me a lot of tools for just seeing the forest from the trees. Let me see if I can find some standout little things here that convey what I'm talking about. So the book also talks about resistance and how it's usually not the difficulty we're going through, but the resistance that we hold to that difficulty, and also the cure being more painful than the disease, that concept. Like when a solution to the problem is a more painful thing to embrace than the problem itself. That one called me on my crap. So I remember being like, okay, yeah, you got me. What exactly is resistance? In other words, what precisely are we doing inside when we resist something? We're making what cognitive psychologists call internal representations: internal pictures, internal dialogue, internal sounds, and other representations of sensory experiences. That's the map, not the territory. Internal representations can be of two general types: what we want or what we do not want. When we resist something, we are making internal representations of what we do not want. So, I mean, just by thinking about that concept, like, how much traction does that give you by acknowledging that we are making internal representations of what we do not want when we resist something? Like, just thinking about the implications of these concepts really took me to new places psychologically that were a lot better than where I was. Then let's see. So it talks about that. It talks about the brain waves, of course, and what entrainment is when you do the binaural beat thing, and how in the brain, okay, don't hold me to my words on this. This is how I remember it being described. So when you entrain the brain with the two hemispheres using a high amplitude sound wave, that sound wave is it's going through a larger real estate of brain matter all at once. So it's forcing this thought, or, this little neural happening over here to reconcile with the one that's happening down here, because that wave has gone through both of them, right? And so all of a sudden it's like a checks and balance thing, right? So anything that is hypocritical on that same path is forced to break down and reorganize into a higher complexity, which incorporates both truths, okay? Because it's not untrue that I went through this experience and felt that way from that perspective, but then yet from this perspective, there might be a seeming contradiction. So they need to reconcile their differences in order to exist in the same brain and in a functional way. So that was my takeaway of this book. It changed my life in a positive way. And that's because I really took the information to heart. Who was it? Carl Jung, that said something to the extent of, you can't judge something without understanding it first. So even if like their books like this are bogus, I gleaned enough usage from just the concepts behind its principles to be able to like really plug that in and get some really great traction from a position where I wasn't getting traction. And that's why I love this book. So I do have an affiliate link on Amazon that links this book. And if you would like to check it out, it's on Amazon. It doesn't cost very much at all. And then I will also leave the link to this company. This is the headband that I was talking about. I'll do another video that goes into more depth about this headband, but it's a great thing too if you want to check that out as well. I'll also leave a link to Holosync. So there's going to be two links. There's a demo, the same demo that I listened to, so you can check that out. It's a free demo. And then a link to the package that I purchased, just in case that's something you're interested in. I know I was, and I know it helped me, and that's the experience I had. I'll see you next time.